All right, so now we're going to talk about hand polishing. There's quite a few people in the world that will just refuse to use a machine. So, hand polishing it definitely has a spot. On this 2003 Ferrari Enzo, it's in very good condition. This is a client for hand polishing. This is something that's got a little bit of imperfections from going over it with a duster. It looks like it's certainly possible that a towel going across the surface picked up one little pebble of dirt, but it's in pretty good shape overall. So to get started, we're going to use our orange paint correcting polish disc. This disc is pretty firm in your hand. Basically what I like to do is grab it from the outside, give it a little bit of pinch so that it's firm in your hand and you can move around a little bit with it. But to get started, this is step one. All I want to do is pop the top on this one. I'm going to put a very small amount of polish on this. It's not going to take much. Working by hand, you don't need a lot. So just that, a little dab will do you on this one. That's to get started. I'm also going to prime this pad with a little bit of detail spray. Just one spray to get started. Now, this surface has already been clayed. That's very important. If it hasn't been clayed yet, you'll want to. This has been clayed, so we're ready to go straight on to polishing. All I'm going to do is take this to the surface, and I'll spread it out nice and thin to get started. And then I can really start to work it in. A lot of people here will say, Mr. Miyagi, you have to go in circles, you have to go in, really what we want to do is just make sure that we touch all of the surfaces of paint. You can go back and forth, up and down, in circles. In circles, sometimes you'll miss the middle, so I like to go back and forth. And then I'll switch up and go this way too. Work in a little bit smaller areas if you can to get started. We're kind of just testing this section to see how this does. So you're going to work this polish down until it looks essentially like Vaseline on the surface. Again, I'm just pinching the outside of the pad enough and applying a little bit of pressure. This is not something that you need to put a lot of pressure into. It's more about the passes than it is about the pressure. Perfect. Now, as you're working the polish, you can actually see through. And if you catch, here it's very easy. I can see some lights up above. You can actually see as you work this, as it turns to Vaseline, how you're doing. You can see if there's some spider swirls or some scratches that are really deep, you'll still see those, so you'll know that you're not quite done yet. We're getting to the point here, though, that this is very good. This looks great. Okay, so this product has been worked plenty. It's flash now. Like we said, the Vaseline look is definitely appearing, so we're ready for the next step. We've broken down the abrasives enough that the job is done there, and we're ready for the next polish. Our second step in this system will be the Revive hand polish. There's a blue disc with that one. Both of them are color coordinated to match, so it should be very simple there. Revive hand polish has less abrasives. This is going to help you with some of the fine marks and leave you with a really nice flawless finish. So again, we're going to use about that much polish. Doesn't take much. And right back to the surface. Notice I didn't wipe off the residue of the previous polish. It's kind of a wasted step. It's better to go ahead and polish with the next step, wipe it all off afterwards. So same technique here, a little bit on there. And again, it's a little bit dry. Sometimes you can feel that. I'll put a little bit of detail spray on the pad here to help prime that. Add a little lubricity, and then it's back to polishing. Same idea here, everything stays the same. So I'll go back and forth and up and down until we work this polish enough. Now this applicator for Revive, the blue applicator, is much softer than the orange. It's specifically designed for some of the harder to reach areas like this that you just can't get with a machine. So make sure you get those too while you're doing that. Down in here. Now these abrasives have been worked completely. Again, like I said, it looks like Vaseline on the surface here, so we know that we're done. At this point, we can go ahead and wipe off the polish. Now, our polish is quite easy to wipe off. The residue from this won't require much effort. If you do find yourself having a hard time or the polish has become dry, spray a little detail spray, but I'll show you how easy it is. Now again, for this process, since we're working with perfect paint now, or pretty dang close, we should say, you're going to want to use the double soft towel. This towel, again, the plushest microfiber that we have, one of the best you can find on the market. So this is what you want to use on perfect paint and to maintain perfect paint. Okay, so now that looks pretty good. I've wiped all the polish off. So this paint is now corrected, but it's not protected. So now for the Ferrari Enzo, we have a few options. We have our buttery wax and we have our Americana paste wax. The buttery wax will last you 1 to 2 months. The Americana, you're going to get a little bit longer lasting protection and a little bit more natural shine out of that. The buttery wax is a little easier to apply though too. On this car, I'm going to use the buttery wax, but those are two really strong options for this car. Now, if this were a daily driver, not a Ferrari Enzo, I'd probably recommend our liquid paint sealant. This is going to last much, much longer. It still gives you great shine and durability. But like I said, on this one, we're going to go with the buttery wax. Now, the buttery wax is very simple, very easy to apply. It's similar to the application of our polishes that we just did. The buttery wax, all you'll want to do is pop the lid on it, put a little bit on the applicator pad there. Doesn't take much. And again, back to the paint. Now this one, you'll want to spread across the surface. And this, you don't need to work like you do the polishes. You just want to make sure that it's covering every area you can see that was already polished. So now we move on to remove it. Now buttery wax is by far the easiest product to apply and remove for protection in our line. If waxing is your therapy, then buttery wax is your product. This is a very, very easy product to remove, very easy product to put on, and it gives you great protection and good shine. So this is now protected.